People do cleanses, they do detoxes all the time. They never work. Their best case is they're going to feel kind of different, maybe a little bit better for some period of time. And they're going to feel like they were doing something productive. So there's that. You can kind of pat yourself on the back. But man, the things that I see people doing that just make me really scratch my head. There's so many things that need to be cleared up if you want to cleanse and detox the right way, in a way that's going to be meaningful and significant and actually move you forward on your healing journey. So let's get right into it. It's a nice idea. It's a lovely thought that, like, hey, if I just do this 3-day juice fast, I'm probably going to be pretty good. Like, God, I wish that was true. I wish that was the case. I wouldn't be here making these videos if that was the case, because pretty much anyone can do a 3-day juice fast. So the big issue is that people severely underestimate the amount of toxins, the amount of pathogens, the amount of stress hormones in their body that needs attention. And so the idea that, we can just kind of hop on and off these little cleanses, or even if it's a month-long cleanse or whatever it is, and like that's going to take care of it, is not accurate whatsoever. So, and again, part of this stems from, like, nobody's really telling anyone besides the medical medium information. Nobody really knows like what all is happening inside the body, what all your body is facing on a regular basis, the amount of viruses, the amount of bacteria, all the different strains and mutations that we're facing, and they continue to grow in numbers, along with the toxins like heavy metals and industrial chemicals that we're now exposed to, and the ways that we are exposed to them that most people don't understand. When you tell most people about viruses and bacteria and toxins, they rifle through their memory, like, I've been to my functional doctor and we did testing and it didn't look too bad, so I don't think that's me. Like, I didn't touch chemicals. I didn't have a job where I was exposed to toxic heavy metals, so that's probably not me. But guys, it's everyone. It's everyone on planet Earth at this point in time who has these rather large exposures to these pathogens and these toxins. And, when you're trying to heal, that's what you have to wrap your mind around, is like, those are the physical root causes of why I don't feel great. And in order to win this game, I have to do a good enough job of cleansing those toxins out of my body to where I can reclaim my health. That's the game that we all should be playing. And once you're on the right track, that's the game that you will play. But again, people severely underestimate what they're up against. And I get it. It can be, some people might just not want to open their mind up to that reality, because it's not a super happy thought to think of that. But don't be scared of that, because there are tools in place. There are proven methods that you can win this war if that's what you want to do. And just pretending like these things don't exist inside the body, that is not a good defense. You're not going to win at this health game by just pretending like things aren't as bad as they actually are. So, severe underestimation of how much cleansing actually needs to happen. So once you wrap your head around that, let's say, like, okay, fine. Like, all right, I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm up against a ton of pathogens and a ton of toxins. And then the next step is actually doing the right protocols, because there are so many protocols out there. The people will slap a detox or a cleanse label on, and they just get to say, like, hey, this is the right way to do it. And they range from like just useless to incredibly harmful, different ways that people think you should detox and cleanse. So step 2 is you have to understand that your job is to work with your natural cleansing processes that are already built into your body, because the human body does cleanse on its own. The problem is the human body was not designed and equipped to handle the level of cleansing that's necessary for all these pathogens and toxins that were not around decades ago, and certainly not around centuries ago. So we have to learn how to work with those processes. We're not trying to force things. We're not trying to do water fast. We're not trying to take harsh compounds that are unnatural and aren't meant to be inside the human body to try to force cleansing and detox. That's not going to work out very well for you. So the trick is, the key is to learn how to use natural foods, herbs, and how those play a role in that natural cleansing cycle, and to do this naturally and just, again, enhance the body's natural cleansing process. That's where you want to go, because so many other things they go so far off track, and they end up throwing things even more out of balance, and you can end up doing yourself way more harm than good by trying an ill-equipped detox or cleanse, which most of them are, because most of them just don't have this depth of understanding that you get from the medical medium world of like, oh, like, okay, it's pathogens. This is what pathogens like to eat. And then this is how the liver is involved, and all these things that just work so cohesively together that you can't go wrong once you're doing the right protocols. And then another huge issue that I see is that so many people, I mean, they'll gear themselves up. They'll get in the a formidable mindset and like, hey, I'm going to crush this cleanse. I'm going to do this 3-day or week-long detox or whatever it is. And I mean, that's a great mindset to have for sure, once you know the right protocols to actually use. But guess what? Since they don't have that depth of understanding of how these things take place in the body and how the body works with them, guess what happens after that 3-day or week-long cleanse or detox? They go back to the same habits that got them to this place in the first place. So how's that going to work out for you? You know, even if you were doing, let's say you were doing like the right cleansing protocols, and you did understand how to use foods to work with your body to cleanse, and you did that for 3 days or a week or whatever it is. But then after that, you just kind of go back to the typical high fat, high protein diet where you're just avoiding sugars and processed foods. That's a roller coaster that you're never going to get off of. You're just going to keep having these swings, and you just keep shooting yourself in the foot, basically, when you just go back to those old habits. So you need to understand how to build out your regular daily routine with foods that, at least on some level, are going to work with the natural cleansing process, and you're going to enjoy the foods that you're eating. And I'm telling you, that can be done. Anyone can do that. And you can have this day set up to where you're doing some level of cleansing, and you're not terribly setting yourself back by eating some foods that are going to work against you. That's the key. That's the two things that you have to have. You have to have your foundational thing. And that's what I do with my clients is first we get them set up with the day-to-day, and like, hey, let's get you comfortable. Let's find some foods that are working for what you like to eat and your schedule. Let's get that. And then we can dive into those deeper cleanses, the right kind. And that way, when you're coming off that cleanse, you're going back into still a cleansing mode, just a much more gentle cleansing situation. And you're not just going to swing yourself from these extremes here of like, I'm doing some good cleansing, and then boom, I am just doing no cleansing right after that. And if you need help with that, just send me a DM on Instagram, and we can chat about what that would look like for you. So those are the ways that people get they just don't get the cleanses, and they don't get and all this leads to, it's the same thing with supplements. If people like invest in these supplements and they do them and they're like, it didn't really work. Same thing with these detoxes and cleanses. And it's terrible, because then what's the thought that starts to develop? It's like, oh, this shit doesn't actually work. Like, you know, it's not like, it's not real. Like, it's a nice idea, but people don't actually heal from food or supplements. It's like, yeah, they do. It's just not going to look how you thought it was going to look. It's going to take it's going to take more effort and work and understanding on your part than you were hoping it would. But that's how it is with anything worthwhile, right? Like, it's not just like, you can't just wipe away generations of toxins and pathogen exposures in 3 days. Like, it's just not going to happen. That being said, like, once you get the right protocols in place, you can start to see some quick results oftentimes. So it's not all trudgery or anything like that. So just a couple things to chew on, especially if you've been trying to detox, you've been trying to cleanse, and it just hasn't really ever led you anywhere useful. I guarantee you one, if not all of those things are at play for you.